everyone, and welcome to this edition of HCS Matters. I'm John Wright, Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools. And this month for HCS Matters, we will talk to the brand new principal at James T Alton Elementary School, Mr. Kevin Estes. You'll enjoy getting to know him. And also we'll sit down with Director of Transportation for Hardin County Schools, Mr. Chris Corder, and he will talk to you about some new software that the district is utilizing to help parents know when students will be picked up and dropped off from school. So that'll be interesting to know. Again, we're excited to help students and help parents transition into this brand new school year. And we hope everybody has a great 2018-2019 school year. Today we're sitting with Kevin Estes, who is the new principal at James T Alton Elementary School. And Kevin, that's kind of strange for me to say, with Mrs. Bennett being a part of this district for 33 years. So how do you follow that?
Well, she's been a beacon in this community for a long time, and I told her that I'm not here to replace her. We're just going to take what she's done and build on it. So it was nice getting to meet her and getting to talk to her. I came back and talked to her several times, but some big shoes to fill. But I'm really excited to be here.
Well, tell us about yourself and kind of your background a little bit.
Yeah. I grew up in Eddyville, Kentucky, graduated from Lyon County High School in 1990, went to Western Kentucky University and graduated there with a biology and chemistry degree and went into teaching. Spent 7 years at Carlisle County High School as a science teacher, taught chemistry, physics, and biology, anatomy and physiology. And then thought I could change the world right away and became an administrator, went to Fulton County High School and was a high school principal there for 2 years. Then I had an opportunity to go back and work with some good friends of mine at Ballard County Schools and spent 9 years as a middle school. I started out as assistant principal and then moved up to principal, district athletic director, and even coached girls basketball. So had a full plate at Ballard County. And then had the opportunity to go to Hickman County High School. That's where I'd lived for the last 22 years. My kids were going there. My wife was a teacher in that system. So we went there for 4 years, was high school, middle school. We had a 7 through 12 building, so spent the last 4 years there, accomplished a lot of good things, had a great experience, and then my wife and I decided that, let's try something new, and here we are.
And here you are. You've talked, we joked about it in some private conversations that James T. Alton is as big or bigger than Hickman County Schools, your entire school district. So talk about how you're going to make that transition.
For me, that's going to be the biggest transition. It's about 700 students. I want to learn their names. I want it to be, personable to them, and that's going to be a challenge. So I'm looking forward to that part of it. So to me, that's the biggest challenge, is making sure that having those 700 kids, their priorities, their education, making them ready for North Hardin High School is very important to me. So that's going to be challenging, but that's one that I accept, and I look forward to it. I'm not great with names, so I like nicknames. So I probably have 700 nicknames around here, but that's what I like to do. So.
Right. Well, talk about how you've some keys to success in your educational career. You've had lots of them.
Well, yes. I just feel like that. As long I got to continue to grow. I personally want to grow. I personally want to learn. If I learn something every day, then it's a good day. And that's my goal. So that's what I try to key everything that I do. And what I like about education is motivating the kids and the teachers and everybody, from custodians to cafeteria workers to bus drivers, to be their best every day. So that's what I like to do, and that's what I try to focus on. And so I feel like that's what's allowed me to be successful in my career, is to help motivate those people to become better versions of themselves, and hopefully that's will continue here. And that's what I like doing. That's my joy in my job.
You've been kind of around the gamut. What are some differences between high school and middle school?
I always say that with middle school you can always keep your bluff in on them, so that works. And high schoolers know it all. Right, so no, it's the same in both buildings. It's just the minds of middle schoolers have the great potential to grow. And I feel like when our teachers are on spot with their effective teaching, and we keep them engaged in the learning, they can grow and absorb so much. And for me, those 9 years at Ballard when I was a middle school assistant principal and principal was really, really enjoying and successful for me. And because we grew those kids, we went from a needs improvement school to a distinguished school. Wow. in about 4 years. And so that was very rewarding. And we kept that going while I was there. And we did the same when I was at Hickman County. We went from a needs improvement to a distinguished middle school, and that was my goal when I went in because our high school was such high performing. Just doing that day in and day out, I like to get here early and stay late, and it's just part of me to help people grow. So.
Talk about, we touched on it just a little bit, but middle school is kind of a strange time. They don't know if they're boys and girls or men or women yet, right. And they're kind of stuck in between. So how do you as a leader help to rein that in, so to speak, and help them to flourish along the way?
Well, they do have a lot of energy, so that's the good thing, and channeling that energy into learning and continue to show that them, making them a better version of themselves, and trying to give them what I think I bring here also is that I know what the end looks like, and I've been a part of that as a teacher and as an administrator, so we know what we're trying to get these students to. That's, I guess, another one of my challenges is really looking at North Hardin and seeing what our kids are going to face there and prepare them so that they can be ready to be successful there. And so having a son that's going to go to North Hardin and already been part of the enrollment process there, I've seen a little bit of that, but getting to know what they offer there. But again, for middle schoolers, just channeling that energy into learning part of it and making it enjoyable for them. Nobody wants to come here and not have a good time, but along with learning, sometimes kids don't see learning and having a good time and together. So we got to work that with our teachers. We got to work that in our culture. That's what I love about this building. That's one thing that attracted me to this is the culture. As I was researching James T Alton, the culture of the kids and the faculty and staff and community is great. So I feel like I won't have to spend a lot of time on that. I want to continue to flourish that, but now get the teaching and learning to go along with that culture in order to move us up, in the district and in the state when it comes to academic achievement.
You've got a couple of great elementary schools that feed you. You've got a great high school that you send them to. James T Alton is a great school. So how do you marry the two? How do you fill the gap?
Well, I want to for our faculty and staff, to continue to see what happens at the lower ends, and then also be in communication with what goes on at North Hardin. They are very successful. I was just having conversations with my guidance counselors about this very thing, about we get these kids that are very successful in elementary school, and we need to continue to grow them here and become one of the, I'd like to be the best middle school in the district. It's not always a battle of who's the best, but that's what I want. I'm a competitive guy at nature. I mean, I was a coach, I'm an athlete, but I want ours to be the best middle school in the district and then be one of the best in the state. I want our school, I want other schools to come say, what are you doing different? What are you doing in order to get your kids to perform at that level? And so that's kind of the philosophy I've always taken. We always want to be the best. So.
How did you move, what were some strategies of moving those schools from needs improvement schools to distinguished schools?
We progress monitored every student. You hear this all the time about individualizing student instruction. Well, we do that by setting goals. The kids set goals. We individualize their instruction. I'm one of those that when I was a teacher, I didn't have a blanket instruction. I might have 4 different groups at 4 different levels going on. So being able to model that to my teachers and to here will be one thing that I'd like to try to do. But trying to, get those students to buy in to how we can be great and continue that greatness.
culture you touched on a little bit, and admittedly James T. Alton has a wonderful culture. I think you were privileged to see that there towards the end of school. I think you visited that and saw that. So how do you maintain that? And even flourish it? How do you step on the gas and while maintaining such a great program?
Well, I like the energy buzz. I like everything about John Gordon, so that's something. I worked as a leader in me school, and they kind of are similar. So having that experience is going to help a lot. But you know, I want the students to teach me about their culture, and I think that's going to give them buy-in. If they're teaching me how they built this culture and what they do and take ownership in it, will help us, you know, have a better relationship. But you know, that's one that I keep telling her for a while. I'm just going to sit back and observe, and I'm going to have to learn how this culture evolved in order for me to continue to lead that culture into the next level. And you know, it's exciting for me because my previous school, I had to help try to develop that culture, and kind of takes away what I like to do, and that's get into the classrooms and be a part of the learning process. And so I'm excited I get to learn the culture from them.
And I hope I'm not too personal when I ask you this question. So you're going from Western Kentucky to the Eastern time zone, as I think we've joked about a little bit. So how has the Estes family made that transition and therefore?
Well, it's been pretty interesting. You know, we've lived all of our lives in Western Kentucky, so this Central Kentucky is something new, a bigger city. We're used to a rural setting, but we love where we're living right now. My kids have loved the transition. My daughter goes to Murray State, and she's here right now, just kind of helping us get transitioned into our place. And but they love it. My son is excited about coming to North Hardin, so we're liking the welcome has been great, and something that I've never witnessed before.
James, you touched on a little bit, but you're a very educated individual. You've been at several levels. And here you are. You've taken a big step to come to this area of Kentucky. Why James T. Alton? What made that marriage?
Well, as I researched the opening, I said this when I met with the faculty and staff. It's a hidden gem. This district is a hidden gem. There's a lot going on here that's great, and I want to be a part of it. Miss Morgan has been just great to me, and this transition. But this building right here, these kids, this part of this community is a hidden gem, and I like to uncover that and make it shine.
You going from, and we touched on this too, so you're going from a very small district to the fifth largest district in Kentucky. How do you use those resources that maybe resources and not degrading anybody, but maybe resources that you've never had. How do you use those resources down to your advantage?
Well, it is exciting to be able to look at a budget and have some things that I'm not into little red wagons. I'm not into programs. I'm into individuals. So being able to use those resources toward those individuals, toward our kids, is exciting. But my experience at small districts, I think, is going to help me here because I've had to resource out. I've had to make a web of administrators that I have to call on. But being able to have our own little community where we can do what we do best and research and just grow professionally is going to be a great thing.
Well, we thank Mr. Estes for hanging out with us for the last little bit. His door is open. Come by and see him anytime during school. You'll see him out in the community. So when you do so, we welcome him to the community and his family, and just walk up and say hello, and he'll be glad to meet you.
Hello, my name is Chris Corder. I'm the Director of Transportation for Hardin County Schools, and today I'm here to show you a program called Info Finder I, which greatly assists parents in finding the bus information if you're new to the area or are just curious of your transportation requests for the year before you go to open a house. So you can access this by the Hardin County webpage, and I'm going to walk you through it right here today. So when you come to our Hardin County webpage, you want to go over to the Quick Links button. and scroll down to the bus routing information and click there. This will bring up the Info Finder program where you will be able to access your students' transportation information for the year. So we'll put in an address. You'll put in your address up in the top left-hand box and your zip code in the right box and hit search. This brings us to an address where, let's say you're new to the area and there's not a student living at the address. This will allow you to see what schools service your particular address. So this is an address in Elizabethtown that's serviced by GC Burkhead, East Hardin, and Central Hardin. At this point, you will be able to see, it will give you start times and stop times for each school, and you can call the school or go when you enroll your student, and they will be able to give you more accurate transportation information. If we move on and enter another address, this address will actually has students enrolled, and the information given here, it gives you the pickup time of 7:36 a.m. This is for a Central Hardin student. And the address, it's actually an intersection, so it may not always be your driveway that we're going to pick your student up at, but this is at the corner of two streets. The bus will be there at 7:36, and in the afternoon, students will be dropped off there at 4:29. It also gives the information for East Hardin and GC Burkhead, as these are the schools that service this address. Just as another example, in the northern end of the county, we'll type in a different address. And as you see, again, same information, the pickup, drop-off times, the schools that service the area, and it makes parents' lives a lot easier. The great thing about this Info Finder also that it feeds directly with our routing software, so we're able to make changes instantly. The changes are done live. The minute they're changed in the routing software, they will show up on this Info Finder software. As always, be patient. Bus routing changes, especially the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, because of new enrollments. We don't want overcrowded buses, things of that nature. And as always, you can contact the Transportation Department at 270-769-8890. Thank you. Glad to share this with you today. Have a great day.
If you have any questions about our transportation department, or maybe more specific questions that maybe they couldn't answer on Info Finder I, you can call our transportation department at 270-769-8890. You can also, there is a listing on our website of email addresses of folks that work in our transportation department, so you can find them there as well. Hello, my name is John Wright. I'm the Community Relations Director for Hardin County Schools and the District's Volunteer Coordinator. You know, we truly appreciate all of our volunteers, and without you, there is no way we can make the lifelong impact that we make on students. Children are extremely successful in life because of the mentorship and help that they receive from adults who guide them and counsel them in and out of the classroom. To ensure safety and stay within the guidelines of Kentucky law, we have policies and procedures in place for our volunteers. The main one is to make sure that students are safe in the acquisition of a background check. This summer, we have made a few changes that we hope make the process of doing a background check more streamlined for everyone. So let's look at how you can become a volunteer for Hardin County Schools. Kentucky law and Hardin County Board of Education policy defines a volunteer as anyone who has contact with students on either a regularly scheduled or continuing basis, or has supervisory responsibility for children at a school site or on school-sponsored trips. The individuals that meet these criteria must complete a background check administered by Hardin County Schools. All volunteers will fill out a background check on the district website, and that website is www.hardin.kyschools.us. To find the link to the volunteer page, either click on Parents or Quick Links. Here is a screenshot of our district website. So here we have clicked on Parents, and at the bottom of the Parents tab is Volunteer for Hardin County Schools. As you can see, all of those choices are in alphabetical order, and Volunteer for Hardin County Schools is at the bottom of that selection. Or you can choose the Quick Links tab. That is over on the right-hand side of our webpage. Also, at the bottom of the Quick Links selection is Volunteer for Hardin County Schools. After you have clicked on that link, go to Link to Volunteer Background Check. That's over on the right-hand side of the page under Additional Information. If you read what is under Volunteer for Hardin County Schools, you see the definition of a volunteer and some instructions on becoming a volunteer. After you click on Link to Volunteer Background Check, you will go to the same website that those who choose to apply for a paying job with Hardin County Schools use. When you go to that website, click Job Listings. After you click Job Listings, you'll see a yellow search bar. Here it is encircled by a green oval. In that green oval, type the word volunteer, and then you will see a position come up called Volunteer. After you have clicked Volunteer, click on the Create New Account and Apply selection in this green oval here. At that point, you will be given prompts. You will be asked for your name, your social security number. You will also be asked to create a username and password for this site. Follow all the prompts and give all the information that is required for Hardin County Schools to process your volunteer background check with the Administrative Office of the Courts. New volunteers, and we define new as anyone who has not been an approved HCS volunteer at any time since 2011. So new is defined as those who fit the criteria that is bold and underscored here. Volunteers, the new volunteers, must pay $10 to cover the cost of the background check. The payment of $10 is straight to the Administrative Office of the Courts. However, if you write a check, write the check to Hardin County Schools. Hardin County Schools is making no money off of the background check, off the $10. That $10 will be sent straight to the Administrative Office of the Courts, and that is what the AOC charges all school districts in Kentucky to perform background checks. The Superintendent's Office is the department within our district that is responsible for sending the required information to the Administrative Office of the Courts in Frankfort. The background check will not be processed until the Superintendent's Office has received the $10 for the background check or a copy of the receipt issued by the school. Again, this is for new volunteers only, and new volunteers is anyone that has not been an approved volunteer since 2011. All volunteers will be required to complete the online background check form through the district website each school year. Now that is no matter when the volunteer started volunteering for the school district. So if you've started volunteering back in 2003, we are asking that each school year that you go to the district website and follow those procedures on filling out the volunteer application. By using the online form, the volunteer will be asked to choose at what schools that they would like to volunteer. However, a volunteer is a district volunteer. Just because someone did not check a particular school on their form does not mean they cannot volunteer there. For example, if you have a child at Radcliffe Elementary School and then you enroll another child at North Middle School, you can still volunteer at North Middle School even though you did not check that when you filled out the initial form. Any paper forms published and formally used as volunteer background check forms will not be accepted. So if you have an old form, or even if a school gives you a paper form to fill out as a volunteer background check, that will not be accepted and you will not be able to volunteer. We hope that this answers any questions that you may have about becoming a volunteer and going through the process. Remember, we are asking all volunteers, both ones that have worked with our students in the past and any new volunteers, to follow these procedures. The only difference is that if you have been an approved volunteer anytime since 2011, you do not have to pay the $10 for the background check. Those that will pay the $10 fee for the background check this year should not have to pay it as long as they volunteer for our district. If you have questions, please feel free to give me a call at 270-769-8867. That's 270-769-8867. Or you could email me at John, that's John, .Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, at hardin.kyschools.us. Information is also available on the district website, and that website is www.hardin.kyschools.us. Again, we truly appreciate our volunteers. We thank you for what you do for our students because you help them succeed every day, both in and out of the classroom. Again, we're excited for the 2018-2019 school year to start. It seems like it's been a very short summer, a very productive one in our district. We've been cleaning and remodeling and doing all sorts of things to make sure experiences are great for students as they come back to school. Have a good school year.